Uncle Al Robles, or Manong Al, as some people called him, was a mentor to me. He was teaching poetry at the South of Market Rec Center to youth, and I was fortunate to work with him, to be able to help him out and assist him.
My name is Tony Robles. I am Uncle Al's nephew, and his younger brother's name is Jimmy, who lives in Hawaii, and I'm Jimmy's son.
My relationship with Al Robles, many years, we came more later into my life, particularly as my dad and Al reconnected. They grew up in the same neighborhood together, and actually my Uncle Al, I learned a lot of my stories about my other uncles through him.
We were just friends. Let me see. Al was a mentor to everyone. You know, whether or not he intended to be, he was a mentor to everyone. One, because he was one of the kindest persons I have ever known in my entire life. He is also one of the weirdest artists I've ever known in my life. And just a very fond person. I don't know how to express it in any other terms.
I think that he was a spiritual force in my life. His spirit was so wild, but yet also so very focused, that if you ever try to figure Uncle Al, it's impossible to figure something that's free. But you be around him, you truly understand what it means to be present at the moment.
You know, he's informing my life in a lot of ways, and professionally in my work, working with people, working with nonprofit organizations, you know, helping folks as a tenants' rights advocate, and seeing the wrongness in that type of work. And that's what Uncle Al brings to me, the bringing out of those voices and the honoring of the elders.
He was an amazing person, because not only was he a poet and an activist, but he also served the community. He used to teach poetry to the youth, and he used to also feed the elderly. I mean, he was kind of the person that a lot of us wanted to become. Someone who, from the bottom of his heart, cared about people, and he used his words, you know, to serve people. But he also used his hands to serve people, and I think for me that's like always what I noticed about him.
You got to have heroes, you know? You have to have a hero, and Al is a Filipino-American hero. You can't get any more Filipino-American than him, right? Because, you know, he learned about other Asian cultures, and he learned about Buddhism, and he learned about being Filipino on his own, okay? And so he's representative, really, of truly Filipino-American experience, you know? It's not that we're trying to be American, you know, as much as it is that we're trying to express something that's unique, right? Because of our condition and the circumstances that we face in this society. Too many people have misinterpreted that. I think Al is a wonderful way of teaching about our history and our experience, primarily because people don't look at us enough through the literary and artistic lens.
You know, there's so much, because, you know, his whole thing was this hollow, right? Where, you know, you know, the Manong, or the flips like their rice one way, the Japanese like their rice the other way. But, you know, we have our own community, but we shouldn't be, I think he said we shouldn't be too caught up where we become isolated from other communities.
I think that he affected Filipino by not having shame, by not being shameful for not fitting into colonized standards of who we are, of even in the Filipino community. Because a part that I know my dad and Al talked about is, what people don't know is the middle class Filipino community who came from the Philippines a little bit later with a little bit more money, not like the first people came over were the farmers. They used to look down on the I-Hotel, on the struggles in the I-Hotel, particularly the Manongs in the I-Hotel. They used to look down on them. They're some dirty old, nasty old men with broken dreams. So the stuff that, you know, all of us, myself included, we're doing now is, you know, reclaiming what it means to be and who we are.
The thing that makes Al Robles unique wasn't that he was a poet or an activist. It was that he treated people like they were human. I think that's the thing that I remember about him the most, is it didn't matter who you were or what you looked like or how you were or how you acted or how old you were. He always treated people as though they were human, from like the smallest little kid, you know, to like the oldest person in our community. He always made sure that they felt alive, and that he always made sure that, you know, like that they stayed alive. And so for me, that's the most unique thing about him that you can't really find in too many other people.